just me. I don't have any friends. Hey guys, it's me, Basic Dave. Thanks for tuning in. Obviously, I didn't scare you off too fast or too badly with the last episode. We were talking about being tired of being tired and overcoming chronic fatigue, right? And we shifted it from being tired of being tired to tired of being tired, which didn't really change much. But from a creative standpoint, we were talking about being tired of sleeping. People don't sleep anymore, and that's concerning if you think about it. We're so busy doing so much that we forget to do something as simple as sleep. There's healing components from sleeping. There's the ability to think clearly. There's so many benefits to taking a nap. And I think that we need to do more of that. I don't think we should be like France or anything like that, where they just take or like other, other countries where they just take siestas and stuff. That's, no, we have things to do. But in this case, I think it's beneficial to remember to enjoy rest because there's, like I said, healing properties. But in this episode, we're going to talk about tired of being tired. We're going to focus on mental health support. I want to focus on men. So, brothers, if you are listening to this podcast, get ready because we're about to dig deep. So if you're a shallow person, you might want to change the channel or fast forward to the next episode. And that one, we're going to be talking about tired of being tired, impacting relationships. Ooh, yes. So without further ado, I'm not going to bid you adieu because that's what happened last time, and it got crazy. I mean, so much happened. Gas prices went up when I bid. I mean, you just can't be bidding adieus to people like that. It's too much. It's too much. But without further ado, let's get started. I want to tell you guys a story. I want to talk about a guy named John. Okay. So John sat at his desk, staring blankly at the computer screen. He had always been the guy at work that you could go to. He was the one who could handle any crisis with ease. But lately, the weight of his responsibilities felt like a crushing burden. John dragged himself out of bed, feeling more exhausted than ever. The endless cycle of meetings, deadlines, and emails had taken a toll on him. His friends, families, coworkers noticed the change, but he brushed off their concerns with a forced smile and a quick, "I'm fine." One evening, after another grueling day at the office, John found himself sitting in his car in the parking lot, unable to muster the energy to drive home. The realization hit him hard. He was burnt out. John decided to take a walk in a nearby park, hoping that the fresh air would clear his mind. He remembered the days when he used to enjoy simple things like reading a book, playing guitar, or just spending time with his loved ones. He realized he had been so focused on his career that he had neglected his own well-being. But John made a decision. He needed to make a change. He didn't let the current situations hold him back. He decided to fight. And over the next few weeks, John focused on healing. He reconnected with his family and friends, took up hobbies he had abandoned, and sought help from a therapist. Slowly but surely, he began to feel like himself again. He set boundaries, prioritized self-care, and learned to say no when necessary. He realized that taking care of himself wasn't a sign of weakness, but of strength. And John felt a sense of peace he hadn't known for a very long time. He was no longer just surviving. He was living. And with that information, I want to know from you, can you relate to that story? Are you able to find a connection? And if so, make sure that you comment below. And if you don't want to comment below, feel free to comment on X, formerly known as Twitter, at IAmBasicDave. I want to hear what your thoughts are. We'll be right back after this short break. John's story was heavy, but it was also uplifting and inspiring for me. A testimony that I tend to keep private, but I feel like I need to share with you guys is I also had a run-in with depression. I thought about committing suicide many times. And just battling those, I guess you would call them demons, where it was tiring. It was tiring each and every day being told, self-inflicted at least, that I was not good enough. Self-inflicted pains. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. I can't. I'm not as good, or whether I'm not as fit, or I'm not smart enough. Things like that really, really played heavy into my childhood and into adolescence. And I didn't really understand the value of self-worth. And then on top of that, being a guy, it's not okay to tell another man, hey, I'm feeling depressed because someone called me fat or whatever. And they're like, shut up. We don't talk about our feelings. We're men, And then a punch to the chest. Wow. Like Mortal Kombat, and you fly across the room and you knock over a plant. It's a mess. It was a mess. My childhood was a mess. I probably, that TV show, Everyone Hates Chris? That's me. It was me. I was Chris. Yes. But anyway, as I got older, I realized that I was not alone. Like, anxiety, depression, all that stuff is common. And I'm grateful that now men are opening up, not just to therapists, but to each other. It's nice to be able to have that support group where a guy can say, hey, I want to know how your day was, and actually mean it with no hidden motives or plots to steal your, whatever. It's nice to have that support system, and I want to encourage everybody on this episode, everyone who's listening to this episode, to feel encouraged to find that support system and address issues early, because you don't want to have to try to put out a major fire when all you need to do is stop, drop, and roll, But speaking about rolling, do you know that there are there's 14.3% of people who are rolling up their emotions and hiding them? Like 14.3 people. Not people. 14.3% of men in the U.S. have anxiety within the last past year. That's what's been reported. Men have been bottling their emotions. But in order to get this study, they had to open up. So that's good. You don't really want to, risk the chance of lying about statistics. But in this case, it's nice that men were able to say, hey, I do have issues with anxiety, or I do have issues with depression. And I don't want to just stay focused on the men. My ladies understand that they definitely can agree with depression because it runs rampant. If you're not pretty enough or whatever, the girl in the office who you just want to cut because she just keeps looking at you sideways, and you're like, do it one more time. Say it one more time. Condescend me one more time with your passive-aggressive behavior. Things like that. It's not that you're not good enough. It's just those side comments, those passive-aggressive side comments that people want to sit up here and say, well, yeah. Like, I hate when people say, yeah, at the end of a sentence. It's like, oh, I want to punch you in the throat. I just can't. Yeah, So I just say, you know what, Lord, bless your heart. And I walk away as fast as possible because I can't say I won't throw a chair. But in the same study that I talked about, the 14.3% of men having anxiety in America, there's also a study that talks about how within a lifetime prevalence rate, I cannot pronounce that word, I'm sorry. Yeah, prevalence. Prevalence. Yeah. Ha ha. I'm not so dumb. But anyway, there is a rate of 30.5% of women and 19.2% of men that, well, no, you don't really need to know that. But no, I'll say this anyway. It says women are more prone than men to develop anxiety and anxiety disorders within a lifetime prevalence rate of 30.5%, compared to men of 19.2%. So, I mean, I guess that's interesting, but we know that women are more stressed out and depressed anyway. I mean, the amount of women who look up to Beyonce, and I'm just going to say this, Beyonce and the Kardashians and all of them, they're looking up to these women, and Cardi B, oh gosh, they're looking at these women like, oh, they're so beautiful, they're so popular, they're so this and they're so that, but they're also being cheated on. So we can go down that street and identify the fact that it doesn't matter how big your behind is, it doesn't matter how much breast you have or whatever, you're still able and eligible to be cheated on. And then they're going to cry on social media, oh my God, I had no clue, oh my gosh. At the end of the day, depression hits everyone. Obviously bad choices in men too. But outside of all of that, I will definitely say we need to address mental health and find ways to support each other during these hard times, because, it's tough on everyone. The economy is falling apart in many, many ways. And as men specifically, because I can't speak for the ladies, well, I guess I could. I could say that everyone is looking at where the next dollar is coming from, because the economy is falling apart. It's almost $8 a gallon of gas in certain places. So we have to be aware that people having limited funds causes issues, and that can increase in suicide rates and all types of things. For example, suicide rates. The suicide rate among American men is about 4 times higher than among women. I don't know if you knew that, but that came from a report from the Center of Disease Control. And I guess it's because we're always trying to, quote unquote, provide or be there or be masculine, super masculine and all these things. But, it is important that we identify our, I would say, roles loosely here, where every man wants to provide. It's a natural thing inside of all of us. We have to produce something. And so if we can't, or if we feel like we are being restricted in some sort, it turns into some other type of feeling, whether that be rage or depression or whatever, and we have to address these things. And I love that in the story, John was able to go see a therapist. He made time. I mean, sometimes your best friend can't help you. They don't have all the answers. And it's okay. That doesn't mean they're stupid. It just means that they're not doctors. Unless your best friend's a therapist. When I was younger, I needed a few therapists, actually. I remember I saw 7 different therapists. I actually burned a few of them out, and that's a shame. Like, it was just not okay. It was like hot potato in the doctor's office, because they were like, who wants to have David this week? And I said, you know what? I don't care. I just need someone to talk to. But imagine if I'm crazy now. Imagine how I was as a 7-year-old, right? And it's funny because when I got older and I went to the bar with one of my friends, I saw one of my old therapists, actually, and she was like, hey, Dave, what are you doing here? I was like, I'm hanging out with my friends. And I was like, what are you doing here? She's like, I became an alcoholic. And I said, oh. So I don't know if I contributed to that or if it was just poor life choices on her side, but I don't know. But mental health support is real. And I don't think that you need to support it with alcohol all like that, and crack is so expensive. I mean, who has money for crack? I don't know. I have 8 kids. I can't afford to do crack. And it's also bad to do drugs. I don't want people to cancel me on social media saying I didn't say don't do drugs. So don't do drugs because it's expensive and because it's not healthy. It depends, though, on what it is, though. And if there's a special. Some people give you okay, I'm not going to go down that path. But what I will say is it's probably best for you not to do drugs, and we'll just leave it at that. But anyway, let me know what you think. Is it good? Is it okay to do drugs? Like, which drug are healthy? Like, because if you think about it, Prozac and all these things and Ritalin, oh God, look at all the people who are obese because they took Ritalin as a child, right? I'm just saying. Or at least other drugs that you've taken and you're like, why do I have a tail? You know, things like that, but yet we can't do crack. I'm just trying to figure this out. So outside of that, I think that we need to, as humans, as adults, male and female, address the issues at hand. We need to get support, mental health support. And I don't know about you, but I'm definitely tired of being tired with my own thoughts. And the sad part is you guys have to listen to them. I'm so sorry. But I will say this. If you have any testimonies that you want to talk about, feel free to leave a comment below. You know, and if you have not already, please feel free to follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at IAmBasicDave. And, you know, share your feelings. It's okay. This is a safe space. I guess that's a trending topic. It's a safe space. But how safe is it? I don't know. We haven't even talked about the next episode. So if you think that this episode was spicy enough, feel free to tune in to the next episode. This is going to be the third episode of this series of the Tired of Being Tired. So this is the next one is going to be Tired of Being Tired, Impacting Relationships. And trust and believe, we're going to get into so much. I mean, it's not even okay. Now, you know I work in the media industry, and so I know a lot of things that don't get reported. So I might be nice and give you some inside tea on certain things. I already told you about how shaky Beyonce's relationship is. Outside of Beyonce, Cardi B and all them. I mean, that's just public knowledge. But if you think about it, they're doing all these things to look a certain way because they're the baddest and they can hold down any man. But the question is for how long, you know? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I guess they don't have that good you know, but outside of that. But anyway, tune in next week for the next episode 3 of Tired of Being Tired, Impacting Relationships. And again, follow me if you haven't on X, formerly known as Twitter, at IAmBasicDave. I'll talk with you soon. Bye. It's just me. I don't have any friends.